Hello and welcome to My Life is a Vacation, the podcast. I am so excited that you are here. I just wanted to set the context for actually where this podcast came from. So a little bit about me. I'm your host, Lizzie Vince. I am an Ascension guide, Unplugger, Activator, and I help my clients to go from hustling, being in that ego, forceful, fearful energy, and into pure bliss, into just receiving infinitely, unconditionally. I actually went from hustling to make 500K in my business in 12 weeks to manifesting 200K in just 2 weeks outside of my business without actually having to sacrifice anything at all. So in this podcast, I'm going to be talking more about how you can unplug from your ego, how you can be driven by or influenced by bliss more than fear and ego, and how you can tap into your divine right to unconditionally and infinitely receive without sacrifice. So my life is a vacation, literally. That's why this podcast is called My Life is a Vacation. So if you also want your life to feel like a vacation, you have come to the right place. And I would also love for you to share this podcast, like, subscribe, comment, and follow me on Instagram. Let's chat over there at LizzieVince_ or on Facebook at Lizzie Vince. Enjoy the podcast. Hello and welcome back to another episode of My Life is a Vacation, the podcast. I hope that you enjoyed the first episode, whether you were on YouTube or listening through the audio on Spotify or Apple. Today, as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be talking all about how I manifested over $200,000 in just a few weeks. Now, I say dollars because a lot of my clients are and have been in America, and a lot of my audience are in America. So it was actually $205,000, and I can't remember what the pounds was. Anyway, I am going to dive in with the breakdown for anyone that was like, 200,000, what the hell? Just to kind of put your mind to rest to begin with. So just to kind of throw it out there, £150,000 was actually a gift from a relative towards property. Then £10,000 was a competition. And then £9,000 I found in a bank account. So you're probably thinking, how on earth did you do that? What the hell? Yes, please. I would like that. So as I shared in episode 1, if you haven't listened to episode 1, make sure you do, because I talk a little bit about my unplugging and give a few spoilers into how manifestation works, although I will be talking about it in more detail on today's episode. So, where do I begin? Well, let me begin by explaining how manifestation actually works. So people think manifestation works through affirmations, through the law of attraction in terms of like bringing things in. Manifestation is not about calling things in, bringing things in. It is, as I'm sure you've heard, about getting in alignment. Now, you might be sick of hearing that, like, of time I'm hearing get in alignment. How the hell do I get in alignment? I know the feeling. What people are talking about, and I'm going to put this very simply, because in my human design, my gene keys, I'm all about simplicity and efficiency. If it's not simple and efficient, I ain't interested. So how it works, how you get in alignment is it's all about vibration. So it's all about becoming a vibrational match to your desires. Now, I decided a long time ago, but I'd forgotten along the way, that I get to divinely receive, that I just get to unconditionally receive, and I'm not really interested in how it comes to me. And that for a long time, to be honest, I knew deep down, I had this deep inner knowing that it was complete BS, that we have to work for a living. Like, what? We have to exchange money and time for, actually sometimes money too, but we have to exchange time and effort for money. Like, to me, it always just seemed, what? Like, it didn't land well. It seemed like, no. There's got to be an easier way. So if you're hoping for an easier way and you're, you might be a little bit skeptical. Your mind might try and question things, try and understand it. Just leave your mind at the door. Just observe the mind, observe the ego, and let it go. Don't identify with it, because you might have heard of a lot of this stuff before and been like, well, I've tried affirmations, I've tried the meditations, I've tried this, I've tried that. Nothing seems to work. Well, first of all, it's not going to work if that's your thoughts, because then you're creating a low vibration, and what you're going to receive back, a low vibration. So let's just say that to begin with. But I just want to make this really simple, because that's what I wanted. I wanted a really effortless way to manifest, and I wanted to kind of, I guess, in fact, I know that through my unplugging, I had come to the realization that it actually does get to be really freaking easy, because as I was observing my ego and realizing that actually fear is an illusion, and that actually lack and scarcity is an illusion, and it's all a manifestation of our conditioning. And I started to connect to God, source, the universe, and realize how freaking big it is, how limitless it is, how infinite it is. And therefore, because we are part of the universe, how infinite and unlimited we are, it started to really sink in more and more how crazy it is that we believe that there's such thing as scarcity and lack. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? We see it in our 3D reality. In the UK, there's a cost of living crisis right now. Okay, we are seeing scarcity, but guess what? We are creating that scarcity. Our ego is creating that scarcity. And this is where humankind is ready to ascend to higher levels of consciousness. Now, ego and mind consciousness is very low level. It's the mind. It's the human, it's the survival instinct. And what I will say to you guys is what I've shared in a masterclass recently, and you can find the replay. You can either message me or find it on Instagram in the links in my bio, is that abundance will never be safe to the mind or the ego, because of its addiction to challenges, because of its survival instinct. Now, this is really important to remember. Because if you're trying to create abundance from mind and ego, give up now. I'm being serious, because it will never be safe to the mind. That's why trying to do all this mindset and healing work is complete BS, because you can't create abundance from that place. And by doing mindset and healing work, you're actually strengthening your mind and your ego, and you're getting yourself further and further away from your divine right to receive. Now, you might have a similar knowing to me, because it is the fact, the ultimate truth of the universe, that we get to receive unconditionally and infinitely. And this is just, like I've said to you in the first episode, this is just a reminder. This is a remembrance podcast to remind you of things that you've forgotten because of your conditioning. We're born into this world, and we know our soul incarnates a body, and our soul knows the ultimate truth. It knows that we get to unconditionally, abundantly receive. It's just the mind and the ego that says otherwise. And the mind and the ego is, of course, made up of our conditioning and our programming that we get from our parents, society, culture, all of those things. So this is where, if you are wanting to receive infinite, unconditional abundance, where without sacrifice, without sacrificing time, without sacrificing even money, without sacrificing energy, without sacrificing health, you've got to unplug from the ego and from the mind. Like, it is entirely mandatory, necessary. Because when you look at people who are wealthy within the matrix, because there are billionaires within the matrix. There are, Apple is a company within the matrix. They're like, what, multi-trillions? I don't even know. Isn't it their capital is like more than a country, more than certain countries? I don't know, something like that. They are still within the matrix, because they're still exchanging something for money. Now, if you're like, you got to exchange something for money, that is a clear-cut sign that you are still in the matrix. And just send yourself love. Unconditional love is ultimate alchemy. I fully believe that. And I'm not religious, but I have been connecting a lot to the energy of Jesus and Mary Magdalene and Mother Mary. Just got a tingle down my spine as I said that, because they embody unconditional love, which same love and money have the same frequency, right? You might have heard that before. Another reminder for you. Loads of reminders today. Should have like a little animation in the YouTube video. It's our divine right to receive abundance, love, money. Doesn't matter what the material thing is, because the material thing is the 3D. Now, how manifestation works is that you've got the 5D and you've got 3D, as you may know. Both are necessary. So in the 5D, you've got infinite, unconditional, unlimited abundance. Now, that is accessible to you right now, no matter your conditioning, because remember, we are all the same. We're all cut from the same cloth. We all come from that divine right. It's available to all of us, no matter your circumstances, conditioning, background. It doesn't matter. We are all equal. The human avatar is just a shell. It's just a simulation. But I'm talking about the deep inner being within you. So in order to become a vibrational match as a human avatar to the infinite unconditional abundance that already resides in your vortex, because remember, if whatever you desire already exists, you can't desire something that doesn't exist. It's impossible. So what I'm talking about here is, like I said, becoming a vibrational match to what is available to you right now. Now, how you do that is you send a message to the universe, to God, to source, however you want to call it. How do you send it a message? Well, it communicates in vibration. Okay. So like I said, if you're coming from low vibration of fear, lack, scarcity, which I totally understand, may be your reality. It's been my reality multiple times. Like I said in the last episode, I still experience fear even now, but it's not about, you're still, when you unplug from the matrix, you're still going to experience the plethora of life. But the key here is that duality is only a construct of the matrix. So you no longer experience the highs and the lows. And if you are experiencing highs and lows, it's because you're still within the matrix. Because when you unplug from the matrix, when you unplug from your ego, you're able to just sustain that unconditional, uncircumstantial feeling of pure bliss, no matter what's happening outside. And that is when you become completely, if you can hear the motorbike in the background, this is a real life podcast. I'm not in a soundproof studio or anything like that. Keeping it real, keeping it wholesome and rustic and raw. So vibrational match. Let's go back to being a vibrational match. Well, it's actually very simple to raise your vibration. You observe your ego being at slow vibration and focusing on lack and fear and stuff, and you don't identify with it. So how do you not identify with fear in your ego? Well, you go deeper. You go deeper into the ultimate truth. What is the ultimate truth? That you get to unconditionally and infinitely receive. Simple. That is the ultimate truth, okay? Anything else is a relative truth as a manifestation of ego, as a manifestation of your conditioning of illusion. So you sink deeply into that. For me, that looks like getting really deep into my belly, almost like a scuba diver going to the bottom of the ocean. And I can almost see like the ego and the thoughts and the fears floating at the top of the ocean, at the kind of at surface level. So I am deep into my belly. I'm deep into my inner knowing that I get to unconditionally and abundantly receive, infinitely receive. And then I'm looking up almost at my fears at the surface level, and I'm observing those fears, and I'm not identifying with them. Okay. You can learn more about this through Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, and any of his other work. And I will also be sharing more about this in other episodes. And then for vibrational stuff, Neville Goddard and Abraham Hicks are amazing, which I'm sure you've heard of them before. But every time you listen to them, if you've listened to them a lot before, when you unplug or start to unplug, it will land differently. Trust me, it will land deeper, and then just continue to land deeper as you unplug more and more and more, as you deepen more and more and more, as you live through your divinity more and more and more and more and more. Okay, so raising your vibration, like I said, it is all about being grateful, being appreciative, not observing the fear and the lack, not identifying with it, and instead deepening into that inner knowing that you get to unconditionally and abundantly receive. Now, how the mind gets on board with this is through appreciation. Because when you look around you, your mind will be able to find things to be appreciative of, no matter your current circumstances. It just will. Okay, so then you find things to be appreciative of. I know this stuff is simple, guys, but this is how I manifest 200K. So if you're not doing the work, or, you know, maybe you're doing some of the work, but not the rest of the work, like, trust me, fully commit to this work. And like, who knows what you could manifest. Okay, because the universe is infinite and abundant. Like, when I say that I manifested $200,000, that's just, you could manifest $1 billion. You know, to the universe, a coffee cup, a free cup of coffee is the same as $1 billion. Like, I know this sounds very like esoteric and spiritual, but it's the ultimate truth. And anything that tells you otherwise is just the ego and a construct of the matrix. I mean, let's look at money. Who decided that money was numbers? Humans. That puts a limit to it, doesn't it? And whenever you are operating within the matrix, within your ego, you will be residing within limits. Because remember, like I said, abundance will never, ever, ever be safe to the mind, the ego. Will never, ever be safe when you're in the matrix. That's why you can be a billionaire and still be unhappy, because you're in the matrix, because you're identifying with the money, because you're identifying with the number. When you unplug from the matrix, when you unplug from the ego, all that you have is that deep inner knowing that money is energy that you just get to receive, that it really doesn't, honestly, it's so simple. And I'm sure you've heard all of this before, but like I keep saying, this is just to remind you of what you've forgotten. And I think a lot of people have forgotten along the way that we are divine, infinite beings of an abundance of love, money, support, guidance. You know, anything else is just ego, it's fear, it's lack, and it's all BS. You do not need to do healing or mindset work to get out of that. You've just merely got to unplug from the ego. And unplugging from the ego is very simple too. All you got to do is observe it and not identify with it anymore. Honestly, I've had clients, I should like really put some like video testimonials into this to share, for my clients to share what they've experienced, because it's just, they're just like, I'm not sure how this works, but it's working, so I'm going to go along with it. That is the vibe of this. It really is. It's simple. The mind can't get its head around it. That doesn't matter. You know, my life is a vacation. Do you think my mind can get its head around that? Absolutely not. Do you think my mind can get its head around 200K in a few weeks when I had to hustle for 500K over 12 weeks? Absolutely not. The mind has no place here. And the mind, the ego, will try and take back its power. It will. That's the rubber band phase. And you've just got to observe it, witness it. And the more you do that, the less power it'll have over you. And the more you'll be living in bliss, and fear will just be like a passing cloud every now and again that you're just like, oh, little dark cloud, let's just watch it go past. Okay, now it's gone. You know, that's as simple as it gets to be. And in terms of the manifestation, like I said, I just started being more appreciative of what I had. I started observing the ego. I started observing where my desires had already manifested. You know, I want a private chef. My boyfriend cooks for me. I wanted a private driver. My boyfriend drives me everywhere. I wanted $1 million house. Okay, we live with his parents right now, but that doesn't mean that the universe doesn't know that. Like, the universe doesn't know specifics. The universe only knows vibration. The universe doesn't understand language. This is where I'm saying the universe sees a coffee cup as the same as $1 billion. Like, it really does. It only understands vibration. And that's what we're working with here, the quantum. So I started to recognize that actually my desires had already manifested. They just didn't look quite as I'd expected them to. So this is where I'm inviting you guys to feel into that and remember that and pay attention to that, and comment if you're watching on YouTube. Message me on Instagram, Lizzie Vince _ on Facebook, Lizzie Vince, and just share with me any insights that you're experiencing right now. You know, maybe it's that you desire a car, but then you realize that your current car you actually love, and then your dream car just suddenly swoops in. It's like, for me, you know, I wanted a Bentley Continental, and then I started to drive my Fiat 500 as a Bentley Continental. And then I realized, a client pointed out to me that the steering wheel of a Fiat 500 is very similar to a Bentley Continental. Guess what? I don't need the Bentley Continental anymore. If the Bentley Continental comes into my life, amazing. That'll be a bonus. But if it doesn't, that's fine. And this is where we come from. When we come from lack, we it's an anti-magnet. You can't manifest from lack. The universe doesn't understand lack. It only understands abundance. That's the only language it speaks. Okay. So this, and I know, I get it because I've been there. If you've got zero in your bank and you're literally like, oh my gosh, I need to manifest money. Like, I need money. You know, you're coming from that lack energy. I totally get it. But remember, and this has really helped me when I go into my deepest, darkest, let me start that again. I'm able to go into my deepest, darkest fears because I know that I am divinely supported, guided, and protected. And whenever I go into my deepest, darkest fears, it feels like, you can close your eyes and pause this episode and do it for yourself now and report back to me how you feel. Just coat your cells in unconditional love and go into that and breathe deeply into your belly and go into your deepest, darkest fear. And I can guarantee, I've done this with multiple clients, I've done this with myself, you will feel nothing but unconditional love and peace and calm and serenity. You will realize that there's actually nothing to be afraid of. You know, I was terrified of going homeless, losing my partner, losing everything. I've had clients the same. Yet we go into our deepest, darkest fears and we realize we're always going to be okay. So remember that I totally get it. Fear feels very real when you're in your 3D reality. This is where it's so important to observe and witness your ego and go deeper into your ultimate inner knowing, which I was talking about earlier, the ultimate truth that you get to divinely receive and be guided and supported and protected. Remember that. Remember that what you see in your bank account, what you see in your reality, the house you live in, the car you drive, all of it, your relationship, all of it is an illusion. It's just a simulation. So if you want to change it, we'll stop focusing on what you see in your 3D simulation and start focusing on what you know to be true in your 5D reality. Now, I'm not saying go and live in your 5D reality and ignore the 3D, because we were created human for a reason. And it's important to bring, experience the 5D as a human. Otherwise, you might as well just be 5D and you were created human. So how you integrate the two, the 3D and the 5D, is that you realize what is available to you in the 5D, And then as a 3D human, you start to calibrate that. You start to feel the high vibrations of, you know, driving your car and really feeling. And this is not new. I know it isn't new, but this shit works. Excuse my language. This is where you drive your car and you imagine you're driving your dream car. Not, this is where people go wrong. They do this kind of exercise, visualization exercise, and they're like, yeah, but it's not. Well, there's resistance, and therefore you're blocking the abundance. Whereas if you don't need, you're not going into it from the place of even desiring the car or the house. You're doing it from the place of appreciating what you have, so that you already love what you have. And even if it's not perfect, you still love it. And if, you know, what you desire comes, then amazing. But if it doesn't, this is where desire can get tricky, because desire often comes from lack. So don't go into driving your car or living in your house and appreciating it to be like, well, if I appreciate it, then my desire will come, because that's attachment that creates resistance, and that acts as an anti-magnet to what you desire. So don't go there. Go in, you know, drive your car, walk around your house, feel the vibration as if you are literally living your, you know, as like, appreciate it, appreciate the car, appreciate the house, appreciate the meal, like whatever you're eating, I mean, and just really feel as if it's perfect as it is. You don't manifest through, I don't like what I've got, it sucks, I want something different, universe, give me something different. The universe doesn't understand that. Do you see the disconnect? Do you see the resistance? Do you see the vibrational mismatch? Like, I promise, and it's so simple, but this is the ultimate truth of how I manifested 200K in a few weeks. I already appreciated what I had. I already appreciated what I had. And it's that freaking simple. And then through being present, as Eckhart Tolle talks about in The Power of Now, I then became an observer, a witnesser of my ego. And I realized that all of my fears, actually, if I took myself into my deepest, darkest fears, there was actually nothing to worry about. And guess what? Then your fears can no longer have a hold of you. And you might have to do this a few times to just really neutralize the fear, to really, you know, realize that the fear is an illusion, and that's okay too. But anything else that's like mindset or healing work or anything that's complicated, that's from a place of ego. And that's just strengthening the ego and getting you further away from what's available to you right now, your divine self, this deep inner knowing that you get to receive. And you have that deep inner knowing because you do. If you're somebody that's like, I don't want to work for money, I don't want to exchange time or energy, I don't want to sign clients, I don't want a business, I don't even want to do, you know, people talk about cryptocurrency and property and stuff for passive income. Maybe you're like me, you're like, I don't even want to do that. Like, maybe you're like, I literally just want money to fall out the freaking sky, and I receive it and I do with it what I please, and I go and live my blissful life. Amazing. You're in the right place, because that is literally the life that I am living right now, that I get to divinely receive. And I do. Guess what? I have this deep inner knowing that I get to divinely receive. I connected to that. I connected to the vibration of that. Guess what happened? That manifested in my reality, because it had to. Because it had to. Whatever your vibrational match to, whatever is your deep inner knowing, whatever messages that you send to the universe is what you're going to receive back. So do you want to receive more lack, or do you want to receive more abundance? Now, identifying is ego. So if there's any kind of identification, like, I need this money to feel worthy, I need this money to feel safe, I need this money to feel secure, I need this money to, you know, be successful, or whatever it is, that is resistance, and that is an anti-magnet. Like, I didn't And I know what you're thinking. You're like, yeah, but I do need money. Okay, observe that, let it go. Remember, go into your deepest, darkest fear. You've got to do that work before you go into the manifestation work. People skip that part. People skip the disidentification with ego and go straight into manifestation because that's the glamorous, sexy part that everyone wants, the money and the car and the house. Well, if you're like, good luck trying to manifest through identifying with the ego, because it ain't going to happen. Like, you're not going to manifest your desires. You're going to manifest more of what you don't want. You're going to manifest more lack. So do the work of disidentifying with your ego, with the lack, with the fear, with the scarcity, and go deep into your soul, go deep into that inner knowing, really connect with it, allow it to immerse into all of your cells, into all of your body, and just really observe your ego and your mind and your fears, and get into that high vibration of appreciation. Guess what? It has to find its way to you, what you desire, but it absolutely will not find its way to you if you're doing it because you need it, because you're identifying something about yourself to it, you're attaching to it. Honestly, this is the biggest error with manifestation. And it makes complete sense, because of course, if you don't have something, you're going to want it. That makes sense. It makes sense to the mind, but the mind has no place in manifestation. The ego has no place in manifestation. The ego is like the nemesis of your divine inner being, your divine right. So it's about time to unplug from the ego, don't you think? And anyone who's like, we need ego. We used to need ego. Yeah, we did, but we're not living in caves anymore. And like I said in episode 1, technology has advanced very fast, a lot faster than us humans. And us humans are ready to move to higher levels of consciousness. So if you're ready to move to high levels of consciousness, message me on Instagram or Facebook at Lizzie Vince. And I have one-on-one activations. I have group activations. Let's get you unplugged from the ego. Let's get you as a vibrational match. It happens so freaking fast. As a vibrational match to your what's available to you, because remember, what you desire, what we'll also discern is whether you're desiring from ego or whether you're desiring from soul alignment. Now, if you're desiring something because you know in your heart it's available to you, and you don't necessarily need it, but you know that it's available to you, and you're ready to experience it in 3D as well as 5D. That's a very different feeling. That's like an expansive feeling, very different to the contracted feeling of desiring from need, desiring from needing to feel worthy or successful or to look better or whatever, or for safety or for security. Because remember, money is just an illusion. And people that have a lot of money, people that have billions, still, you see millionaires. And I know somebody who's a millionaire that still cuts kitchen roll into 4 to save the kitchen roll, multi-millionaire. So it just goes to show that money is an illusion. Money only amplifies what you already have. Okay, so this is where it's really, really important to get clear on, why do you want what you want? Do you want it because of a deep inner knowing that you know to be true, and actually having that thing wouldn't change you? You're not wanting it to change you. You're wanting it to, because it will affirm what you already know. You're not wanting it to be like, if I have this, then I will be this. It's more like, I know that I get to have this, and it will be the 3D manifestation of what I know to be true in the 5D, in the quantum, in the universe. And I don't necessarily need it, but it would be nice to experience what I know to be true in the 5D, what I know to be true in my inner being. It would be nice to experience that in 3D. And it feels like it's time to do that. Not that there's such a thing as time. Anyway, but we'll talk about that in another episode, that there is no such thing as time. All we have is now. Because again, just like humans created money as numbers, humans also created time. Time is not linear. Time doesn't exist. So we'll talk about that in another episode. I really hope you enjoyed this episode. I feel like there's so much more I could have covered. Hopefully I answered any questions you might have had. I'm always got that in my mind of like, oh, what would people want to know? Or what resistances would people have? Or what would people's minds and egos be thinking? So that's actually a really important thing, I should say. When you're listening to this, be mindful of your mind and your ego. What is it saying? Is it saying, oh, that's rubbish? Or, oh, that's not possible for me? Or, oh, it's all right for you? Or, that will never happen for me? Or, oh, it's too hard? Or, oh, I've tried that before and it didn't work. You know, what is it saying? You know, become an observer to it. It's a sneaky little thing, the ego. And, you know, right now for you might be shouting really loud. But if you're ready to unplug from it, if you're ready to make those shouts, whispers, and you're ready to fully let go of the ego, fully let go of fear, so that you get to live in a constant state of unconditional bliss, no matter the circumstances, you don't experience duality, you don't experience life as time, you don't experience life as your human avatar. You experience life as your inner being, as who gets to receive unconditionally and infinitely, like my 200K, through your human 3D avatar. Message me. Can't wait to hear your thoughts, insights, downloads, questions. Please tag me on Instagram and Facebook, Lizzie Vince. Message me, comment below on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, share with anyone you think will find this useful. I'm having a lot of fun with this podcast, just riffing and downloading stuff for you guys. I'm learning a lot too, affirming a lot back to myself. Like I said, fears still come up for me. That doesn't mean my life ain't a vacation. My life is still a vacation. It's just that I don't identify with my ego and my fears anymore. So therefore, they no longer have power over me. Who's the real winner here? So I will see you on the next one. Hope you have the most amazing day, evening, whatever time it is where you are, and enjoy this episode, you know, re-listen to it if you wish. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to My Life is a Vacation, the podcast with myself, Lizzie Vince. I would love to hear what insights you had, download, shifts, realizations, ahas, anything that you heard is not new information, by the way. You know absolutely everything because it's all in the quantum. I am just here as a remembrance guide to remind you of things that you may have forgotten. So you will experience deja vu. You will experience, oh, haven't I had that before? Yes, because you already know it on a deep soul level. Because remember, we are all as one. There's no such thing as separation. Separation is just a manifestation of the matrix and of the ego. So please do share this episode on social media, tagging me at LizzieVince_, and comment below if you're watching on YouTube. Please follow, like, subscribe, share with anyone that you think will find this useful. And I'm just really excited to see where this podcast goes. I know that things are just flowing through me so fast right now. So I can't wait to just share things as I go and for you guys to hopefully benefit. This podcast was divinely guided. It is of service to God, source, the universe within me. It is of service to my divine inner being. And so, yeah, it is for you guys. So I hope you have an amazing day and I will see you on the next one.